Namaste, everyone. Welcome to this podcast. And in today's podcast, we have yet another special guest who is an engineer, a qualified CFA, an investor, a trader, a stoic, a philosopher, and a professor. But above all, the most humble person I've ever come across, Akshay, aka the irrational investor from Twitter. Welcome, Akshay. So glad to have you. Thank you for doing this.
Hi, Pooja. Thanks for having me on. And it's my pleasure actually to be on your show. And there were just so many labels with my introduction that I'm also feeling confused. But thank you. Thanks a lot for that lovely introduction.
See, I told you.
Yeah.
Humble.
You see, after
Great.
you label me
So,
humble, I have to say that. I'm kind of forced to act humble. So, but anyway.
okay. So, in today's podcast, we'll be talking about so many things, starting from investing to trading to technology and philosophy. So, people listening to the podcast, just hang in there and I'm sure you'll have lots of fun. So, shall we start?
Sure, please.
Great. So I curiously wanted to know about this. You want so many hats in your life. You've taken so many career paths. I just told you in your introduction. How did you do all of that?
See, yeah, Pooja. So, I guess, yes, if you take an outside perspective of things, it does look like a lot of weird career paths, but it's really not. So there's one common theme if you see running through all those things that have fun with whatever you are doing, do whatever you enjoy doing. So let me just run through my own career path. All the labels that you gave. So basically, at least in my time when I did my 12th standard, if you were supposedly smart in academics, you had pretty much two career options: medical or engineering. And I basically can't stand the sight of any blood apart from my own, and neither do I remember any of those those medical names that they give to creatures and all that. So medical was never an option, right? So I did engineering. Ended up doing electronics and telecommunication engineering. Then I went to Penn State for my master's and PhD. Ever since I was young, I used to love looking at the stars, used to love the sky. And there I realized that, hey, as an engineer, I can actually study remote sensing and space physics. So that's how that happened. So I spent 6 years of my life, including 3 years of PhD, just looking at meteors. That was fun. And then somewhere down the line, and during the same period, fell in love with investing. The investing bug actually bit me. So, but I could never get a hang of financial statements, right? So I could get the PE ratios and everything, but financial statements were just too drab and boring. So I thought the best way I can do it is if there's some pressure on me. So decided to do CFA for fun. So one thing after another, with the common theme being have fun. And the funny thing is that CFA, which is supposed to be the hardest, was the most fun. After that, PhD was also a lot of fun. Managed to do it in 2.5, 3 years. But the one that was most boring and the toughest of it was my BTech degree, which I was kind of supposed to do, right? So the thing is, have fun. And the second thing, since you have a lot of young listeners over there, that I would like to say is, if I would take something out of this story, is that don't let people or society label you. Once they label you like you are an engineer, then it's like you are expected to do this or that. So don't let the society label you. Otherwise, you'll spend your entire life, living up to those labels. No, you only live once. Do it your way. So, sorry, such a long answer, but as you'll find during the course of this podcast, I speak a lot. So, yeah, that's it.
I'm here to listen. I'm
Thank you.
here to
Thank you.
listen.
So
And
nice
it
of
was
you.
okay. So, you told me that you started engineering, and while you were in US, you were introduced to the idea of investing. That you said the investing bug bit you. So, how were you actually introduced to the idea of investing? Is there a story in the background, or I mean, it was just like it just happened?
Yep.
How did it?
Pretty much a story. So, I was just an ordinary nerd from India in an American lab studying space physics of all the weird things that you can do. And I had a lab mate actually. I remember his name, but I really shouldn't name him. He actually he told me, so he paid for his entire education, by buying Apple shares. So he bought Apple when it was pre-split or something, $20 or something. The price really doesn't matter. But we all know what happened to Apple, and we are talking. This was back in 2007, 2008. So still enough time, for him to pay for his entire education through Apple. And I was like, hey, if he can do it, then so can I. So, and obviously, but I thought I was way smarter than buying Apple. So I thought I'll buy something that, has a potential for growing much more. And so, firstly, I decided to go with solar, because I think most of the listeners will agree that last 20, 30 years, whenever solar is always the big thing, solar is always going to, be the next big thing. So even in my time, solar was the next big thing. So I bought a solar company. And the over smart guy that I was, I thought, no American stocks for me. China is doing great. So I'll buy a company that exists in China and that's listed in US. So long story short, I ended up losing my entire money. So that was my introduction to investing. So as a student, I ended up losing something like $1,000 or something, which for a student is really, let me tell you, is really big bucks. So yeah, that was my introduction to investing.
But how did you remain hooked to the idea that you want to continue
Ooh,
it? I mean,
okay, so that's interesting. So see, this was basically the first time that I'd failed in anything in my life, right? And it's not because I was so brilliant or smart that's why I was failing for the first time, pretty late. It's just because I had never tried anything in my life, never really ventured outside my comfort zone. So I think most kids from middle class families would be able to relate to this. All that we are expected to do is study hard, work hard, and get good grades and exams. And I pretty much did that. So this was the first time I did something, went outside my comfort zone, and I failed. So I wanted to get even. I wanted revenge from the market. So I did the only thing, a nerd can do. I hit the books. I read pretty much all the books about trading, investing, whatever you can, because I wanted those $1,000 back. Right. So next time I do all my research after a long time, save the money again, and I hit the markets again with full vengeance, armed with my newfound knowledge. Right. And Pooja, you want to know how it ended? Yeah.
I
So
can guess.
yeah. So yeah, what's the guess? Actually, I'm interested.
You made it. You got your money back.
Yeah, that would be great if we were, this was a Bollywood or Hollywood script. I ended up losing all my money again. So this time the company itself turned out to be a
Oh.
fraud. So two times total, I ended up wiping my entire account totally. So that's pretty much how I started. Still didn't give up, right? But that would be a long story for another day. That how I made it. So, but yeah, I ended up blowing out. I would call it more of a trading account than an investing account, but I ended up blowing it twice. So yeah, been there, done that.
So that's where, I mean, you continued it, and then you got a hang of it, and then that's how CFA happened, right?
No, CFA actually happened pretty later. This was still when I was trading and I was still in US, right? And I've actually blogged that entire journey. It's there in an older blog. I don't write there anymore. But this was back in US. Then eventually got the hang of trading, right? And managed to make my money six times in the span of 1.5 years. Got my initial entire money back and then some more, right? And then I came back to India. In India, yeah, so I have a full time job. So trading took a back seat and it turned into investing. So one thing led to another. And even in investing, after a few years, I realized that, hey, you can't, it's people say long term quality stocks, this, that, but you are going to get nowhere until you have an edge. And you got to know the language of business, that is your accounting. So CFA, like I told you, was basically, again, I just wanted to learn the financial statements. I found them really boring. So I thought if there was an exam sitting on top of my head, I would actually go ahead and do it. So that's how CFA happened.
Pretty interesting. So, what are your thoughts on trading? I mean, there's a group of people who are highly positive about it, and then there's a group of people who are big time critics of trading. I mean, now that you've told me that your personal experience with trading has been pretty decent, so would you recommend other people that they should do trading or not? And yeah, like, would you recommend it?
Pooja, that would be a hard one because I mean, that would be like recommending, I love coffee. You might not like it. So, me recommending coffee to you is not going to do anything for you, right? So, I think anyone who goes into trading has to go with their eyes wide open. And what do I mean by that? In my experience, trading is of all the things I've done in my life, it's the toughest thing I've done, right? By far. I did tell you I blew up my trading account twice. That being said, it was also one of the most fulfilling and challenging things that I have done. So I really really enjoy it. Right. Right now also I do it off and on sometimes. But the fact of the matter is, Pooja, that over 95% of the traders lose money. It's a documented fact, right? And so I know if you started trading, and lot many people, even I know that I have, and you see them on Twitter also that have just started recently. If you started after March, you think that trading is easy money. But tell me one thing, Pooja. So we spend what 12 years on basic education, and 3 or 4 years on getting an additional degree or something, a professional degree, and only then do we actually hope or dream that we get a placement and start earning a livelihood, right? But
Yeah.
with trading, we expect that the market will start rewarding us from day one. No, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, right? So, and chances are, and firstly, not chances are, market is going to demand its tuition fees. There is no two ways about that. So, if anyone wants to take up trading, my first suggestion would be, right, start only with the money you can completely, and I would like to repeat that again, completely afford to lose, because chances are you're going to lose it. Market is going to take its tuition fees. Trading is not easy money. Trading is not free money. You really have to work hard for it. You really have to have the knack for it. But that being said, I would not say like some people are just very dismissive of trading. Hey, if you can't do something, don't just completely knock it off. It's not impossible. It's a great way to make money. It's a very challenging way to make money, and you have full freedom. That's the thing I love about trading. You have full responsibility. You have nowhere to hide. That being said, 95% of the traders lose money. So yeah, again, a very long answer there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they do lose money, but the smart traders, they make, I mean, you made six times the money that you lost. So smart traders know a way out, but people, they lose hope that, I've lost money. There's no way I can get it back. And then that's when the cribbing starts. That's when they start hating trading or hating stock market for that matter.
Yeah, Pooja, that is true. But one thing I would say, especially with an endeavor like trading, that sometimes you even got to know when to quit. I know the popular saying is try and try, hard and again till you succeed. I would say for our generation, it should be try and try again. And if you're still failing, you better know when to quit, right? Get out, do something else. And so, in this context, there is always investing, there is always long term investing, there are always mutual funds. There are so many easier ways to make money if you're not really interested in trading, right? So, trading is not easy money. So, you got to know when to quit too. I would add too. You got to know when to quit in life, move on, and try something else.
Yeah, because there also you need to spend a lot of time on doing the research. Then only you can make good bucks in trading,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's the thing. It's quite tough. It requires a lot of work, it requires a lot of effort. But if you really love it, and that holds true for everything, if you love it, it doesn't feel like work, right? So, but
Hmm.
it's a lot of effort. It's not taking stock tips, it's not joining WhatsApp groups, and these days in the post COVID world, it's not listening to webinars all the time and learning through that. No, that's not going to work. I'm sorry, you'll have to put in the effort and the work yourself.
You have to actually get your hands dirty
Yeah.
in trading, lose money, and then finally, maybe if you're smart enough, then you'll make the money back. Speaking of stock tips and recommendations, so a lot of people invest on the basis of recommendations received from their friends and family without doing their own research. And if they lose money, they'll curse the friend or they'll curse the market. And I mean, they will never realize that it was their mistake in the first place. So what do you have to say to these people, and what advice would you give to the new investors? I mean, what kind of mistakes they should avoid doing?
Okay. So, firstly, let's begin by saying your money, your responsibility. That's it. No two ways about it. If you're putting your money on the line, no matter on what basis you're putting it, it's is your responsibility. And the second part of your question, how to really go about investing. So, I believe, Pooja, you have target audience for this podcast is pretty young, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty young.
So I would just say, so let me give some suggestions or at least some learnings so that your learning curve is not as steep as mine. So first thing that I would like to say to all you listeners out there is, please do yourself a favor, Google a compound interest calculator and open it. Our formal education system actually does a horrible job of teaching most of the concepts, but the way they taught us this important formula that we did probably in the fourth or fifth standard is a crime, right? So please do yourself a favor, Google compound interest calculator, run some numbers by it, put some realistic numbers, right? And see the magic happens when you put your money on the line for 10, 20, 30 years, because you guys have the greatest gift, and that is time. You have time on your side. So that is one, right? Just open a compound interest calculator. Second advice is a little bit against the norm of what is only given. So I would say, forget about markets, forget about investing, invest in yourself. If you are like what, 21, 22, 25 years old, your greatest asset right now is you. Let's think about it. So even if you save your entire salary, some people take it to the extremes, live a frugal life, ye bachao, wo bachao, either, and then start investing, buy so and so share. And even if you save your entire salary, you can only save 100%, right? You can't go more than that. But your earning potential, your earning potential is much, much more. So in the beginning, first and foremost, invest in yourself. That would be my message to, to our young audience. Lastly, and after investing in yourself, if you have anything left over, start learning about investing. Forget about direct. Start learning about mutual funds, right? Make a small investment, not from the point of view, I'm not trying to sell you anything, hey, that your money will grow 5 times in 20 years or 30 years, or you learn so and so dividends. No, what this little amount that you invest in the markets is going to do, it's going to make you learn about the psychology about investing. Hopefully, if you are lucky enough, you'll face a market downturn or a bear market quite early in your investing career. So with this small amount, at this stage of your life, when you can afford to lose, when you don't have that many responsibilities, you will learn about the investing, you'll learn about the ups and downs of investing. So firstly, invest to learn rather than 10, 20 years, this and this will happen, that will happen. Start with an index fund. Keep it simple. So to wrap it up, Pooja, I would say these are the three things I would say. Open a compound interest calculator. We are all basically linear thinkers. Even I sometimes have to open it, run the numbers again. It's basically magic. Try it. Open a compound interest calculator. Invest in yourself. And then I would say index funds or something similar, just to get the hang of investing and see the markets ups and downs. So that's it about investing from my side, Pooja.
That's great. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that they first have to invest in themselves, because ultimately your salary is going to pay off for your investments that you'll make. So yeah, I really love the point that you can only invest up to 100% of what you can earn. So if you can earn, I mean, huge amount, then you'll be able to invest a huge amount.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Pooja, because if you see, because if your salary from, if you invest in yourself 10 years from now, 15 years from now, your salary is going to be many multiples of what you're earning right now, if you do it right, right? So, and from that 100% of savings earning at 8 or 9%, no, I would rather have that multiple and be investing that. That being said, if you have anything left over after investing in yourself, start investing it. Don't keep it in the bank for 3% and all.
Right. Great. So I think we can move on to the next question. So I remember when we were on the call for the first time, you told me that now your only aim in life is to retire. So what does retirement actually mean to you? And what do you think would change in your life once you've achieved this particular aim of yours?
Okay, that's that's interesting. So yeah, what does retirement mean to me? So my concept of retirement is a little bit different, right? For me, it's not something that you achieve at 60, you slog your entire life, then at one fine day at 60 with whatever gratuity you have earned and you start living your dreams. No, sorry, I can't wait that long. We live only once, right? And that also with the variable ending. We don't know when it, I think if anything, the COVID scenario has taught us that, right? So we live only once. I can't wait till 60, Pooja. I can't wait till 60 to start living my life. So to me, retirement is basically achieving financial freedom. That is when my passive income, that can be income through other sources apart from my salary, all right, starts taking care of all my expenses. And what would change then, Pooja? So now, probably, okay, so now the thing is that firstly, my time would be my own, right? No matter how much money you are making, but if someone can tell you, hey Pooja, I want you to do this and I want it done by so and so date, I'm sorry, you might be making all the money in the world, but you're not free. So my concept of retirement is nobody can tell me what to do and when to do it. So maybe so to answer your question, what would change? No, maybe nothing will change. Maybe I'll continue with the same job that I'm doing right now. But hey, this time I'm going to do it on my own terms. This time it's going to be with a great sense of security. And if I don't like something, I'm going to give it back or I'm just going to quit. That's going to be my option. Maybe I will do nothing because that's an option. Maybe I will follow some creative pursuits because I think man was meant for so much more rather than just 9 to 5, right? So, but the point I'm making is maybe nothing changes, maybe everything changes, but what happens is I do it all on my own terms. Nobody can tell me when to do, what to do, and when to do it. That is retirement for me.
Right. So, in what time are you planning to retire?
Let's see how the market shapes up. Let's say so we have recovered a lot more quickly. The market is a big part of it, and let's see. That's time will tell, but hopefully sometime in the near future. Definitely not 60. I can promise you that, and definitely not 50. Also, I think Goa is waiting for me. So no.
Great. Um, so this is going to be the last question for this podcast because you wanted to keep it small. I am okay with extending it, but yeah. So the first time when we talked, and after hearing your story, I was totally blown away, to be honest. And but the moment you mentioned about negative thinking, the power of negative thinking, I was like, okay, finally there is something to which I can relate. So Akshay, please throw some light on power of negative thinking and how it has helped you in reaching wherever you are or in making sound decisions.
Okay. So Pooja, firstly, I'm quite glad to know that you couldn't relate to anything I said apart from power of negative thinking. Thank you for saying that. And here I was thinking I'm making some wonderful points. Thanks for bringing me back to earth. Thank you.
No, no, no. The
Anyway,
first time then
yeah,
when
okay,
we talked.
okay. Thanks for the disclaimer also. So yeah, moving on, the power of negative thinking. So yeah, Pooja, I think firstly to understand the power of negative thinking, I think positive thinking is way overrated or way misinterpreted, I would say. So what do I believe in? I believe life is grossly unfair. I think life is full of problems. Life is suffering, right? I don't think you can wish away the problems. I don't think if you believe strongly in something, the whole universe, some people say, conspires to make it happen. Believe and it will happen. No, I'm sorry, Pooja. I just refuse to believe in that, right? I believe life is unfair, life has problems. And hey, it's not that it's singling you out. No matter who you are going to have problems in life. And just always thinking that the worst is not going to happen or the best is only going to happen, I'm sorry, you can't run away from it. So rather what I do, and this is something I picked up from the Stoic philosophy. I used to practice it a bit earlier, but the Stoic philosophy really reinforced it, the power of negative thinking. So Pooja, whenever I'm about to start a new venture or anything, right, I go to the worst case scenario. This might sound like really negative, but most of the times what we do, we try to just not think about it कि नहीं सोचने से नहीं होएगा, right? We just try to avoid thinking the negative. I'm saying exact opposite. I'm saying think of the worst case scenario. Most of the times, I can promise you, it's amazing. Most of the times you'll find that the worst case scenario is not as bad as you imagined it to be. And if that is the case, I would say jump into whatever the option is, go ahead and do it. If the worst case scenario is not that bad, then probably not taking that risk is actually bad. Go ahead and do it. And if the worst case scenario is that bad, hey, you better think twice. But I promise you, most of the time, you don't have that much to lose. And I've done it my entire career. So let's say you change your job, right? Most of the times we overthink it so much, changing career paths. But hey, the worst case scenario, I've made a terrible mistake, I hate my new job, I'll have to change the job again. Is that really that bad if compared to the how rewarding the experience or change could be? So that's how it works in life. In investing, I take all my asset allocation decisions, how much money to put in a particular investment, right? Based on what is the worst thing that could happen to this company. Normally, we always think of the upside while taking, allocating money. Oh, this could go from 100 to 400, or the company could expand to so much in another 10 years. Hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? Let's say this and this happens and my money gets half, right? Am I in a position to take that loss? If no, then I'll just buy a smaller share of it. I'll play a little bit safer. If I was buying worth so and so lakhs, I'll reduce the amount till I'm comfortable with the worst case scenario. So, this is the power of negative thinking. So, what is the thing in this case to wrap it up? If things happen great, right? I hope they do. Hey, great for you, right? If they don't, you had already thought about the worst possible scenario. In some way, you already prepared for it. You are ready to face it, right? So that is the power of negative thinking. Actually, there's this quote from a Jackie Chan movie which I watched as a kid, and it's amazing how some stuff sticks with you. So it says, hope for the best, expect the worst. To me, that is the power of negative thinking.
That's great. And I believe the power of negative thinking, it also gives you a very rational perspective. Like you could be too optimistic about a thing, about an idea, but if you're not really thinking it from the negative point of view, you're really, you're only looking at one side of the coin. You're totally missing out on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, Pooja, we have to understand there's probably a multi-million or even I don't know how many billion-dollar industry behind making you feel special, or that good things will happen, and the power of positive thinking, and how the world is conspiring to help you, and how if you just believe and give your best effort, things will start happening and going in your favor. So there's whole this industry built on making you feel good and positive about everything in life. But hey, I'm sorry, my life hasn't worked that way so far, and chances are yours also hasn't. Things don't always plan. Planning is great. Planning is awesome. So that's the smart thing to do. But expecting things to go according to your plan, that is naive. So what negative thinking does it? You'll make sure that I have a plan B or a plan C also ready. So that's what negative thinking does.
Yeah. Great. So that's all for this podcast. So we will be coming up with more podcasts. You guys suggest us in the comment section what topics should we cover. There are a lot of topics which we have decided in mind, but Akshay is always apprehensive whether people want to listen to my voice or not. So leave feedback, especially for Akshay, so that he comes again for the podcast. Because I am definitely going to bug him to come for another episode. But you guys also leave comments for him whether you liked the content, whether you liked what we talked about or not. And if people who are done investing in themselves and they want to learn investing, you can join our community finlearn club. You can visit the website, and so there are a lot of communities where you can start learning about mutual funds, stock market, fundamental analysis. So come and join. We'll make sure that we do the proper hand holding so that you don't put your money in the wrong places. So that's it, Akshay. To wrap it up, I think I would say the main key takeaways for from this podcast would be that you have to first find the compound interest calculator, start working on it, and invest in yourself, because you can only invest up to the 100% of what you're earning, or your earning potential should increase over the years. And then you can eventually start learning investing so that you generate wealth for yourself. And then I think we can say that long run may you have to plan that your time is your own, so make sure that you're not renting it out too much. So plan things accordingly. And then in the last we talked about power of negative thinking. So this is also based on Buddhism philosophy, wherein Buddha used to say that jug ye jug jo hai ye dukho ka sansar hai. So that's what exactly Akshay said, that the problems will always be there, but you have to just make sure that you're not getting bogged down by the problems. Just expect the worst to happen.
Yeah, Pooja, thanks a lot. Firstly, thanks a lot for having me on this. I really enjoyed talking to you in our conversations on phone and this right now. Thank you. It's amazing what you're doing out there, especially at your age. It's just amazing. I just wish that I had the risk taking ability, and I was that ambitious as you are. So it's amazing. Kudos to you. And so you summed it up beautifully. Just one thing I would like to add. Uh, have fun along the way. You only live once. Try to do it your way. So even if you fail that way, you can at least say, hey, I didn't follow a set template or anyone or a pro. I wasn't a pro. Just do it your way and have fun while doing it. You get one shot at it, make it count. And that's it from my side. Thank you, Pooja. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. And make sure that you leave comments and let us know what topics should we cover in the next or upcoming podcast. Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone. Take care.